I have like so much to talk about and then nothing all at the same time. Let's just start with the fact that I really didn't do much of anything today. And for the last couple of weeks, I've been struggling to stay on task, like even just writing out bills and... Sorry, there's a mess on my counter and I need to clean it up before I can focus. This is like how my brain is wired. I feel like no matter how many times I try recording this video, I just keep getting interrupted and distracted and I can't focus and it's really pissing me off. I have a sink full of dishes, which is also bothering me right now while I film this video, but I lack the energy to even do them. Oh, dude. I was kind of in a slumber today because I don't even know where to start. Honestly, when I quit my job back in February, we're just going to start with that. I stepped out on blind faith. I listened to God. You know, it was like a year and a half I sucked it up where I knew I wanted to quit, and I heard subconsciously, not everybody believes in spirituality and God and stuff like that, but that's a very important part of my life, and then that's how I'm connected in life is through my spirituality. My camera's crooked. It's bothering me. I stepped out on blind faith and I did the only thing that I knew what to do, and I signed up for a bunch of art shows and I packed my summer with like 30 of them, and needless to say, I gave it my best shot and it didn't turn out the way that I thought that things would have turned out. It doesn't mean that I failed, so to speak, because I'm still going to continue to do it. I'm still going to continue to create art, but filming and posting YouTube videos 2 to 3 times a week on top of doing, 1 to 3 art shows per week was a lot on me. And in the midst of it all, I'm trying to like keep a positive attitude and stay really happy on, social media and stuff like that. And just really fight depression and fight my mental health. And it's been a struggle for me, like especially today. I will overwork myself and then I get super burnt out, and today I allowed myself to rest and I sat on the couch and I did nothing and I took a nap, and then I had to force myself to fold my laundry. Like the tasks that should be the most simple were the hardest today. Folding and putting away my laundry, I didn't want to do it. I didn't even want to cook. I didn't even want to heat up meals in the microwave. And that's when I know my soul is just burnt out. My soul is tired and it needs rest, but I'm really struggling with what's next. I know I need to be a lot more trusting, but I'm gonna be completely honest, I'm really bummed out because I thought things would be different. I thought I'd at least be monetized on YouTube by now, and I just know how much I've poured into everything, and it just really sucks because you see people... I get stuck in this comparison trap where I see other YouTubers out there, people that have friends that are famous, and they just start a channel and their page just blows up and they get like everything handed to them in life. And I know that they have their own struggles in different ways too, but my entire life feels like it's been a fight. I've had to fight for everything that I have. I've had to fight to heal parts of myself and kind of dealing with my thoughts and feelings and emotions alone. And since I quit my job, I quit therapy because I could no longer afford it. So I'm kind of in this in-between spot where I have people in my life, like I have my friends and stuff, and I value them and they're great relationships and I really love the people in my life, but I like therapists because you can tell them anything and they have like a professional mindset for advice and stuff like that. And I just kind of feel a little bit alone in life right now. That's one of the things that I'm really struggling with. I just thought things would be different, and as much as I'm really trying not to be sad about it or cry about it, I'm very sad about it. I work very hard for what I have. I did all the art shows. I did photography on the side. I keep hustling. People are like, oh, Tyler, your work ethic is so strong. Like, you're go, go, go all the time. It's like, yeah, but I get tired, but I really don't share that part, This is one of my lower days. I have my high highs and I have my low lows, and I'm a person that feels things intensely. It's like every emotion. It's happiness, sadness, grief. I feel it intensely. That's just how I've always been wired, and that's kind of how I've operated. But I I don't know what's next. And so I'm kind of laying here on the couch just mindlessly scrolling through YouTube because, like I journaled and I read in a book this morning, but I'm having a hard time separating like quality alone time and just stillness with I should be doing something or I have no worth. I keep tying my busyness to my worth, and that's very hard, especially, and I don't think I would be so hard on myself if I saw some sort of an outcome from everything that I'm doing, all of this energy that I'm outputting, and I'm fucking tired, man. I'm just tired. I'm spent. I mean, a lot of people when they meet me, they think I'm in my early 20s, but lately I look like I'm 30 because the way that I wake up and I have dark circles under my eyes and I just look fucking tired because I am. I'm tired. I've been sleeping like 10 to 12 hour nights, and I made plans in an extroverted mood, so I have plans tomorrow and Tuesday, and I just like want to stay home and recharge because I'm just so burnt out. I did an engagement session. I do photography on the side, like I said, but I did a session and it like took everything in me to just edit the photos, and it's like this stuff that I usually do mindlessly, and then I get stuck in this trap of like this overwhelm of, what if I run out of storage on my computer? Then I have to buy an external hard drive, and that's going to cost more money. And I just like, I keep finding myself like going down these rabbit holes, but I don't know if I'm going to do anything with this video. I just wanted to talk to something because I'm in this house alone and I have my dog, but kind of, I don't know, I was going to journal about it, but you can only write so much, and I just feel like I'm constantly repeating myself. I'm really sad about the way that things are turning out, and I think that that's okay because I feel like these thoughts, feelings, and emotions are an essential, vital, and very much necessary part of the journey. I feel like these are the moments that spark a change in you. These are the moments of redirection. These are the moments of rest. And I'm having a hard time with that. But I allowed myself more than any day this year since I've quit my 9 to 5. I've been self-employed for 7 months. I'll run out of money in a couple of months. But yeah, it's not so much that I'm fearful. I'm just really bummed out about it. I really thought things would be different because I'm trying like hell. I really gave it my all. I'm still giving it my all even when I'm tired. I edited those photos, sent them, did laundry, brushed my teeth. I went for a walk today. I'm doing all the things that I'm supposed to be doing, but maybe I'm filming this video because there's somebody out there that feels a similar way and it's just real. It's okay to be tired because you can't pour from an empty cup. And that's one thing that I keep trying to do. We need to rest if we need to, but pick ourselves back up and keep going. And that's what I've continued to do today. But yeah, I don't really have anything else other to say than this sucks. And I feel like that's okay. So anyways, thanks for listening. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of pressure around being a creative, and there's a lot of pressure that not a lot of people think about, like when you quit your job or you're pursuing a passion. When you're a creative, you only have so much of yourself to go around, and people expect it from you, and you're trying to balance your creative endeavors, your mental health, which most creatives struggle with. I mean, the most inspirational and most gifted people are the ones who struggle the hardest with their mind, and it's like this trap in this war zone, you know, we can get locked inside. And I mean, we're very good at being isolated, but then that isolation really leads to just like, it can lead to self-destruction if you're isolated for too long. And one thing that I personally struggle with is this need to teach people how to create, and the push to teach classes or the push to teach someone how to do things. And all honesty, like, not every artist wants to be a teacher. They just want to create for the sake of creating. Like myself, it's not that it's anything personal, it's just the fact that, like, I'm trying to make a name for myself and I'm trying to do something that I love, and if my heart's not in it, I'm not going to do it. So I don't want to be a teacher, and I don't know why I feel such animosity against that, because, you know, it's kind of like people are like, oh, you're an artist, you're creative, kids love creativity. It's like, okay, well, I'm also not a daycare either. Like, you don't just drop your kids off, we're going to do art all day. I'm trying to pay my bills, I'm trying to sustain a living. And I think that a lot of times people mean well, but they don't really understand how much of yourself you pour into this thing and how much of a trap it is. And it does become your job, especially when you don't have any other source of income. And it's like, you know, if you're a person that's got a creative mind, you have all these ideas stewing, and you're probably knee deep into several different projects. You know, like myself, I'm doing YouTube, I'm painting on skateboards, I create candles, handmade jewelry, like the list goes on, because I try and create things for everybody so that I can sustain my living, and I get bored very quickly. I feel like there's this painted picture that people have in their minds. They're like, oh, if you're an artist, you're a creative, you have all of this free time, when people don't really realize you're pouring 30 plus hours into a piece, and then they want to give you $200 for it. And when you're asking what you know it's worth, people think you're crazy until you make a name for yourself. And I think one of the biggest fears that artists have is, like, you know, it's kind of like the best artists aren't famous until they're dead. And it's not about fame, it's about, you know, selling enough art to sustain a living. It's about doing your craft in the way that the brush strokes go, and you're doing it not because of money, but because it's your passion. But where the starving part comes in is, it's like that, it's not that you need that validation or that attention. So an example that I have is, like, people are like, oh, you're so beautiful, like, I'll take a picture with my painting, and I really dress up, I do my makeup, and I have a cute outfit on to match the piece, and all people talk about is how pretty I am, and I hardly get any likes on my work. And it's like, don't look at me, look at the art. Like, I'm a part of the art, but the reason for the photo is the art. Yeah, I created it. I'm just the hands and the fingers and the tool. Like, I use tools to create this thing. Like, look at the art, really look at it, read what it's about. And I feel like we live in a society now where everybody is so, you know, they're so quick, and everything's at their fingertips, and it's fast this, fast that. It's like, you know, Amazon Prime, and it's high-speed internet, and it's 5G, and it's all these things. And if, you know, people don't want to sit down and take the time to really read and digest what something means. And as an artist, you're very observant, and you see all of these different colors, and you see the way that things are shaped and the way that shadows are casted, and all you can think about is creating, because you're not creating because you want to be famous, you're creating because it's what helps you stay alive. It's your purpose in this life. And, you know, you can have all of this talent, and you're super burnt out most of the time, and not a lot of people really think about that. And it's not that I'm complaining, I wouldn't have my life any other way, but as an artist, I really struggle with finding balance in life. You know, I think the one thing that a lot of newer artists, or people that don't really have a name for themselves, you know, like myself, really struggle with is, you can take consignments, you can do custom orders, you can do special orders, but that's not where your passion lies most of the time. A lot of times I really struggle with this internal frustration of, why don't you just purchase what I have? Why can't you just get what I have? Or people would say, oh, I really like that, can you put that on a shirt? Yeah, eventually, but I don't have the funds to do that because I'm fucking broke, man. Like, that's just the reality of being an artist, and I think that that's the starving part. I feel like you have to, you know, like anything great in life, you really have to work for it. And another thing that goes like that, if you're in society and you don't have a name for yourself, and people ask you what you do as an occupation, you tell them you're an artist, they kind of like look at you like, how old are you? You know what I mean? Like, not that it really matters to me because I don't care. I have tons of tattoos and I get looks like that all day long, but in the grand scheme of things, I feel like there's a big importance with art. There's, you know, the world wouldn't be what it is today without art. Architecture is art. The way that buildings are shaped is art. The way that people do home decor, that's art. The way that people make handcrafted coffees and teas, that's art. And without art, the world wouldn't be what it is today. There wouldn't be no joy, you know? There wouldn't be something to be intrigued about, something to be interested or questioning, or, you know, that's why people go to art galleries. They look at things and they get to interpret what they think it means, and then when they find out the message behind the piece, there's the two things. It's what it meant to them and then what it meant to the artist. You know, they hear the story behind it. I think behind every artist lies great pain. That's the reason why we create. Ever since I was a little kid, I was very into art, but, you know, I lost my mom in 2012 to suicide, and I ran away from it for such a long time. It was 7.5 years of just hell, you know, and I heard this voice because I have, you know, intuitive gifts and I have spiritual gifts. And ever since I was a child, I heard the voice of God, and I heard this, you know, a non-audible voice, but I heard this voice say, go to Walmart, get a canvas, buy some paints. And I thought, yeah, right, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing art again, because it was something that I pushed out of my life for such a long time, you know, like I wanted nothing to do with it. It was, I related art with pain, you know. Me and my mom created together. That's the foundation of our relationship. That's how we bonded, and that's, I feel like, a big reason why we were so close, is because we shared this special love for creativity, and you can't put a price tag on that, you know, that joy, that happiness, and rooting each other on and showing each other projects, or going to the craft store and going down our own lanes and then coming home and showing each other what we each bought. And those are the joys of my life that I look back on, but during the time it was very painful for me, and I found myself very beside myself, and I struggled for a very long time. You know, I had lots of bad thoughts, if you know what I'm saying. There were many times where I just wanted to disappear. I didn't want to be here anymore. And, you know, when I hear something from God, I don't stop hearing it until I do that thing. And I heard it for, you know, probably a week or two. And I'm like, screw it, you know what, fuck it, I'll go to the store, I'll buy the paint, I'll buy the canvases, and that's what I did. And I came home and I stared at this canvas, and I had this resistance of wanting to even do it, you know. And once I started to feel better. And that's around the time when I got back into therapy, and I can't tell you enough how crazy it is that how long it was that I ran from that one thing, which was art. I ran from it for almost 8 years, and it's the one thing that started to heal me. It's one of the things that started to bring me back to who I was. You know, when I bought this house, I had empty walls and I'm starting to fill them. And during the time when I moved in here, I think I only created a piece, 1 or 2 paintings before I moved here, and that was 4 years ago. It's kind of when I started painting again. And that was back in 2020, I want to say, during COVID. Yeah, it was like on the brink of it. And I went through like this isolation. I never lived alone, and I went through this loneliness, and I just started to create things. And I started, you know, I went through some physical injuries, and it's crazy how all the stories link up and it correlates. But the bones of this house is what healed me, and I was able to have my art here, and I'm like able to like hang it up, and I can have my house in disarray, and I clean it up when I want to. But I think one of the things that a lot of creatives struggle with is burnout, and it's very easy to do if you're not careful. I'm very guilty of it. I am right now. You know, I created this piece called Burnout, and it's dedicated to the people who work very hard. It's for the overachievers. It's for the people who can't sit still. It's for the neurodivergents. It's for the single moms that are working 3 jobs to, you know, provide food on the table. It's for the parents that sacrifice their dreams to raise their kids right. It's for, you know, people struggling in addiction and they're trying their hardest to stay clean. It's for the people who don't believe in themselves and they get up every day and they fight their mental health. It's for all of those people, and I think one of the most devastating parts that I dealt with, you know, after finishing this piece was the lack of response it got from the world. You know, I posted it on TikTok and Facebook, and on TikTok it has under 30 likes, and it's not about the likes, but the burnout feeling is coming from pushing through the exhaustion and feeling that way while creating this piece. And at the same time, it's like, it's not that I need the validation, but I was so happy with it, but not everyone else thought it was great. And I think that that's another thing that a lot of creatives really struggle with, and that's a really hard thing, is just because you create something doesn't mean that everybody else is gonna like it, and that really freaking sucks sometimes, you know? Yeah, you know, you tell people you're an artist and they think that you're sitting back sipping tea all day, you know, with your finger up your butt doing nothing, and you're actually the person who's creating the art. You're taking the photos for the paintings. You know, this is obviously when you're starting out and you don't have a name for yourself, and you're posting on, you know, all these social media accounts, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and you're doing it all, and you're being a business owner, and you're trying to make sure you have enough groceries, and you're trying to pack your food, because if you're, you know, so much money short, you're not going to be able to have food on your table, and you have to give up the iced coffee when your funds are running low, and you're ultimately taking care of yourself. And it's very hard to balance that with like a personal life and friendships and just keep up in relationships, especially when you're creative. It's not that you're sitting down drinking coffee, you're working harder than most people even realize. You're probably working 10 times harder than they are, but they don't know what goes on behind closed doors. And I think that one of the messages that I want to have behind this piece is how hard some of us really do work. Artists don't sit there asking for handouts. We are struggling. And I think one of the downfalls about being a creative is you have this gift and people tell you how talented you are, but a lot of times they don't want to support you. Some people do. There are those select few, but most people don't really know you until you make a name for yourself, or they want to say that they clapped for you along the journey, and that's really not the truth, and it's not the case, and it's not really about who claps for you. But I feel like as an artist you do need somewhat of a support system, because not only is it isolating and you're prone to burnout, it's just lonely sometimes. So yeah, if you're asking, I am burnt out right now, and I'm under the weather and I have a cold, but you know what? I can't sit still long enough to take a rest, and when I take a chill pill, I think about what I could be doing or what I could be creating, because all of these ideas come at my mind full throttle, and then when I'm sitting and I'm stagnant for like too long, I get super fucking anxious and like in my head, and then my mind starts to destroy me, and then I start, you know, getting depressed, and then I start contemplating like, what's the meaning of life? When you're creative, you have to be very due diligent about your daily practices. Like, you can do all the right things. You can exercise, eat right, go to the gym, try and balance your work and social life. You can try and do all of those things, but also as a creative, it's so important to have your solitude. But then on the other standpoint, it's like, if you're alone for too long, your mind starts to go down this deep, dark rabbit hole, and so you have to like catch yourself before you fall too deep into it, or you could be like depressed, and then, you know, you kind of get like how I'm feeling right now, where you just kind of like meh, and you don't really want to do anything. Nothing really excites you, because the one thing that you were excited about and you created, it's not getting the attention that it deserves. It's not getting the credibility that you think it deserves, because you know what it means to you, but not everybody else knows that. They don't feel that. You know what I mean? I just spent the last 2.5 hours posting on social media, editing my reel, editing for YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I feel like I'm missing one. TikTok. I posted on all the social media platforms. You won't be seeing the YouTube short of my painting until like later on. I'm kind of frustrated. And I'm not expecting my painting to blow up within like 5 minutes, but I don't even know how to get this out, because I feel like nobody in my life really understands what I'm going through as an artist. I'm not giving up. I'm not asking for advice. I just need somebody to listen, I guess. I spent a lot of time on that painting. I spent well over 30 hours. I had this concept in my head, and the only feedback I get from people is, well, maybe you shouldn't draw skulls. Maybe you should stop drawing skulls. Maybe you should try something different. Not everybody likes your type of art. And it's like, I understand that, but I get stuck in this comparison trap where I'm kind of guilty of comparing myself to other people and where they're at in their journey, but it's frustrating because their art, sometimes it's not good. Like, it looks like they literally did a couple lines and that's it. And I know that everyone's got a different view and everyone's got a different opinion on whether they think someone's art is good or not, but it's like, it's not that I'm quitting, it's not that I don't believe in myself, it's none of that stuff. It's the fact that I'm so sick of trying so hard. I'm sick of... I know my art's good. I'm frustrated. I quit my job to pursue this, and then I was so busy over the summer I didn't have time to paint, so then I was struggling with my mental health. And then I start painting and I'm fucking burnt out and I'm tired. And I'm just like, I don't know if it's because I'm sick and I just don't feel good, but it's like, fuck, what's the point? What is the point of all of this? Bracelets are annoying me. God, I'm just angry. I spent over 30 hours on this painting, and then I spend almost 2 hours on frickin' social media trying to push my stuff, and I feel like it's just like I keep trying and nothing is happening. I'm just frustrated. I'm frustrated. I don't know what else to say other than I don't know what else to do. I'm keep paddling the boat and keep going, but it's not like I offer a service where people need it. People don't need art like they do when they think they don't. When the world goes to shit, people need art to look at something. It's not like I'm creating art for nothing. It's not like I'm pulling this out of my ass. It's like I'm creating something that means something. This burnout piece is how I struggle and I overwork myself and I get like this and I just get so tired and I'm just mad. I don't know what else to do. I've tried painting moths. I've tried, like, I'm creative and the point, what I'm getting to here is if I create stuff that I'm not passionate about, what's the point of it? Create things for other people. People are like, oh, have you thought about doing festive things? Like, I don't want to paint freaking pumpkins and cutesy little Thanksgiving things. I want to paint dead shit. God. I know it's just one of them days and I'm gonna keep going, but I'm just irritated. I'm tired, man. Because every time I feel like I'm onto something, it just doesn't go. I'm tired, I'm burnt out, and I'm just frustrated. And I'm not always positive. I'm just angry right now. I worked so hard on that piece. And I was happy about it. And I know maybe it's too early to say that about something, but God, being an artist is a struggle. Because you struggle with depression, anxiety, whatever you're dealing with, and I'm trying to make videos, I'm trying to be creative, and I don't want to go back to a normal job. I worked so hard for this. I never thought I'd be fighting something I ran away from for such a long time. Why does everything have to be a fight? God, I'm just mad, man. Yeah, and that's just it too. It's like when you're struggling with your mental health, especially if it's been your entire life and you are creative, you kind of learn to mask it to try and fit in more with society. And when people ask you how you're doing, you kind of lie and you're like, oh, I'm great, you know, because when you become that person where you always have a problem and you're always struggling with your mental health, you get silenced. A lot of times, you know, there are people that do care about you, but especially people that don't go through it. There's this, you know, other side of the coin where you just stop talking about it altogether because you're sick of being the person with the problems. You're sick of being the person with the baggage. You're sick of being the person that struggles all the time. And when you're in that mindset, your mind just kind of eats you alive, and it's like, oh, you're always emotional. You're always struggling with your mental health. You're always struggling with depression. You're always the person with problems. And, you know, our mind is very capable of a lot of things, and especially when you do have negative thoughts and you are struggling with your mindset, it's very easy to go down those dark valleys. And I see why a lot of artists end up not here anymore, and it's really sad, but mental health is still kind of taboo to talk about. And I feel like that's why my art is so important to me, is because it's not just that I'm creating it for the sake of it, I'm creating it for all of the other people out there. You know, I paint a lot of dead things. I paint skulls and moths and things that are meant to be dark, but they're so vibrant and they're loud and they have all these poppy colors, and there's meaning behind every single one of them. It's all based around mental health awareness. It's pulling the light out of the darkness. And I do that because of inspiration behind, like, what my mom, you know, what happened to her, and just kind of how I struggle all together as a creative and an individual. You know, you start to feel like an outsider a lot of times, and the path of a creative isn't always easy, you know. Like, I had a conversation with my sister all the time, and I was having kind of an off day and I was frustrated, and I told her, I said, you know, all I hear from people is, oh, you're so creative, and like they don't support my art. And it's like, you know, it's one thing hearing that you're creative, but on the other side of the coin, it's like, yeah, do you want the mental health issues I have to be good at something? Like, there is a sacrifice on the other side, and even though I've done a lot of healing, there's still them times where it gets very dark and I question what I'm even doing in life, and I get down these dark valleys if I'm not careful and I'm really not taking care of myself. So art is very important to me. It's important to me to be an advocate for mental health, and it's important to me to recognize burnout, and it's a real thing, and it's seriously a real medical diagnosis, and not enough people talk about any of this stuff. I think one of the hardest parts about telling people when you're struggling with your mental health is the fact that, you know, especially when people don't go through something like that, or they've never internalized, they either A, brush you off like you didn't say anything, or B, they try and tell you to think positive or just be happy, or C, they give you the worst advice ever, and any of that just makes you feel worse about yourself. So, you know, a lot of times, as probably unhealthy as it is, I keep a lot of this stuff to myself and I save it for my journal, because God knows my feelings. He's the one who gave them to me, and, you know, a lot of times I forget, but I feel like most times when I am struggling, I need to sit in peace in my solitude, and I need to take time out for God, because He's the one who led me back to this in the first place. So I do know it's my calling. I do know it is my purpose.